I don't know if we're gonna have share anyways. If outside, even if it's not raining, but what time would share be? 3. I don't know if we have a mini room either. It depends if we get a card. So
good. The birthday girl is there.
More than welcome to come here.
Happy birthday, Tao. Very nice.
It's about 14-minute walk further than I go on Shabbos.
Yeah. Also, we daven at 8:30.
Oh, that's early.
That's around a 14-minute time later than I daven. Earlier.
All right, so I wish you had tzlacha now already on your meal tonight.
Don't worry, I brought over a bottle.
Start drinking it now.
I'll send my kids to get more.
All right, where are we starting from?
We are starting from we got to the top, the 2 dots on the base. 2 dots on the top of Yud Gimel on the base. These are the earliest Shabbos over here. So
I think this is the earliest, no?
I think these next.
We could do it now. We could do it any week.
That's what I'm saying. But we're seeing it's getting a little schwach. The island is getting a little schwach. So.
If the island's schwach anyway, maybe we can do for an hour Friday.
Then it will get schwacher.
Don't push it, buddy.
Nah, anyone who's here still is,
Gershi, you can leave your phone on. The rabbi will continue talking. That's okay. We'll see if it goes over well in Cleveland.
Look at this. This is cool.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we up to? So we got a chazan, right? Hold on a second. Okay. Why am I having such a problem? Because I'm on the wrong daf. There you go. That's okay. So we got. A warning. We start with 7 blot Motzei Shabbos Be'ez Hashem from the hardest Gemaras in Shas. Tumantara Rechanina Segana Kayanim. Right. With Rishon Sheni. So today we get a little bit of a head start on that.
What time are we doing Motzei Shabbos?
8 o'clock. I know you love that time. You love that time.
Okay, we may have an earlier one.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, whatever it is. Okay, so then yesterday, just to chazer quickly, we talked about people getting mistaken in how to tell time. Like there were 3 opinions, and then we said that the edus to make edus zayman, you have to be there you have to say that you were with the edim for the entire time. Let's say from 1 till 6, so that can encompass all the mistakes that edim could possibly make. Right, that was Amud Aleph. And then we said a cloud that witnesses understand time better than the Hamaynam, so therefore we can have to be more strict by erev Pesach, right? And then we had the maskana said was that the reason why we're machor on erev Pesach is because it might be a cloudy day, and then people are gonna really have a problem. Yeah, and then we said people don't get confused between the 4th hour and the 7th hour, 5th hour, and 7th hour because the sun's on either side of the middle. So you don't get confused. And then nobody gets confused between sunrise and sunset. And then how do we pasken in our Mishna? And then we said, how do you eat and burn chametz when Pesach falls on an erev Shabbos? And then the story with Rebbi that the guy's chametz was being eaten by mice. So Rebbi made them hold off until the last second possible. Yeah, and then we said, don't do anything that will cause somebody to think you're doing an avera. So a gabbai tzedakah shouldn't change money with himself. He should use somebody else, and the extra tzedakah, extra food that's left over, he shouldn't keep. He should make sure to give it to somebody else. And then we said it's a machlokes whether if you're holding money for somebody, whether you should how do you say it? Whether you should protect him or not, or maybe you shouldn't protect him. Yeah. Okay. So now in the Mishna today, so we have like this. We get. I'm not the Mishna Gemara today. We're talking about. We're going to talk about how the Isser becomes. How does it call it? First, we're going to talk about the bench, and then we're going to talk about tuma, meaning they use these loaves of bread to let everybody know when it's time to get rid of the chametz, right? So it was. So were they truma or not? Okay. Who has my phone? Sorry.
School's cold.
I know somebody can't. Sorry. Okay, so Zakti Gemara. V'ayid Amar Rav Yehuda, 3 lines down. V'ayid Amar Rav Yehuda, shtei chalas, right? Tani Tana Kamed Rav Yehuda. Al Gav hits the butt. It means on the back of the bench, right? So now the Gemara is assuming now that it's on the back of the bench. Who's going to see it? Amar Le B'chilat Tzniyan Hu Tzarech. Do you need it to hide it? I mean, what are you putting it there to hide it? It's supposed to let everybody supposed to see it. Meaning, it sounds like you have a bench, so you're putting it on the seat of the bench. How's anybody going to see it? So Tani al gag, not gav haitztava, but on the roof of the itztava.
Where's my
Amar, Rechava Amar Rav Yehuda. So Rechava said in the name of Rav Yehuda, Harabayis Satya Kafel Haya. The Harabayis had 2 rows of benches, one inside the other, right? So since it was surrounded by that then you put it the chalas on top of that, so then people were able to see it. So it doesn't mean like on the seat doesn't mean on the seat, right? It means on top of these things. So Tanina Mihochi Harabai Sachi Kafel Haya was double benches. If you like Istav is Haisa, Istavanis Haisa. It's called an Istavanis. Sachu lefnim misachu, and it's a row of bench inside another row of benches, meaning they put this on the top so that people can sit in the Beis Hamikdash on there and see what's going on. So that's where they put it up because it was high up, so that's where they put it. All right, so then we said that what are these chalas? These chalas are passul. Now, what does that mean, passul? Yeah, so they can't be used for their tummy, right? So now the Gemara is going to have a Machlokes here exactly what this means. Now we're talking about a carbon toida. Now carbon toida is chametz. A carbon toida is made out of 40. Right, we discussed this once before that a carbon toida has 40 loaves of bread, which all have to be eaten within a day. So you better have a lot of friends. And I imagine also back then the Olam did not want to bench goimel as often as they ask now, right? Because it was a big deal. It was a big deal to bring a carbon toida was an avodah. Right?
Cost you $500. You don't do it so fast.
Correct. Yes. No, well, besides for the money, how about the headache of getting enough people to eat that? Because otherwise you're going to have nicer issues, et cetera, right? So anyway, so the thing is like this. So when did they bring the carbon toidas on erev Pesach? Because the problem is that when you're going to bring it into the Zman, right? When you're going to bring it in, so it's going to be, how do you call it? Well, you're putting it into a matziv where it can't be tar. I mean, it's going to be burned, correct?
It's 30 amatzes, 10 achalas.
What do you say?
30 amatzes and 10 achalas.
30
amatzes and 10 achalas.
10 achalas. That's what you're saying. Stop saying. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so amai psulas. Why did they have to be? I want to ask amai psulas. Why were they passul? Right? Meaning the assumption is that these were passul for another reason. So they wanted to take these passul chalas. 14, yeah. So Amar Reb Chanina Metashay Merubas Nefsalis Belena. The reason is because there were so many carbon toidas, so you couldn't possibly eat all on erev Pesach. So therefore Nefsalis Belena, they became passul by being kept overnight. Right? So therefore they're passul. Yeah. So because again, a carbon toida you only eat that day and the night that follows that. Once it hits the next day, so then it's done. So everybody was bringing their carbon toidas on the 13th because to bring it on the 14th was a big headache, which we'll see in the Gemara. The Tanya ain't being toida b'chag hamatzis b'nei chametz sheba. You don't bring a carbon toida on Pesach because of the chametz, right? So that's why we don't say mizmar l'soida from erev Pesach, right? From erev Pesach until after Yom Tif, we don't say mizmar l'soida, right? Which I think I say it pretty much every time, right? And then right afterwards say, "Ooh, I shouldn't have said that," right? Yeah. So, anyways, but that's why we don't say mizmar l'soida. So the Gemara says pshita. It's pashut, of course. How you bring taida on it's chametz. How you bring it on Pesach? No, we're talking about on erev Pesach on the 14th. Because over aim of kachim the Beis Hamikdash, and we hold that you're not allowed to bring kachim into Beis Hamikdash, meaning you're not allowed to. By you bringing it on the 14th, you're going to be causing it to become passul because after the 6th hour, after chatzos, you're done with eating it, right? In which case you're going to. I guess it's indirect, but Lamaisa, you're going to cause these karbanas to end up not being eaten because there's no way you could eat all that. The
Why would we be put it? Why would I'm saying the Torah? Why would the Rabbanan and the Torah put us in this position
No, Shmuel David,
where it's not possible to finish them?
Shmuel David, people,
Right.
the reason they had so many is because people waited to bring the karbanis till they came for Yontif.
I'm saying, okay,
So
but we know this is going to happen.
A lot of people are chayvin toizen, bringing their toidas then before Yontif. They want to get it out of the way. So there's an abundance
No,
of
so
that.
that's the question. Is no, a taida is a voluntary carbon, right? So don't bring it. Wait till after Pesach, unless maybe you have three. Maybe you have 3 yomim tovim to bring it, so you want to get it in. But it's not like the Torah is being mechayev you, right? So you want to bring it, so you have a problem, right? So
I think you can only ask the question if you've never seen a kiddush in Lakewood these days.
Yeah.
I have
Anyone
not
who's
seen a kiddush in Lakewood.
Lakewood. Yeah, you can bring a carbon tiger 3 times a day.
And a kiddush out here is kiddush out here is different.
Oh, we're getting there, but not quite.
Okay, but not Cleveland. That's what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, so we're going. Yeah, halavai we should be like Cleveland. So anyways, the kuliyam b'shloisha everybody holds that you can bring it. That you bring it on the 13th. Not everybody holds. Everybody brought it on the 13th, so they don't have this issue. Right? But since everybody bought it on the 13th, there was just an overabundance of these challahs. So inevitably, they were passul. Right? So that's the passul. So they were kosher. Right? So why are you calling them passul? Because there's 2 parts of the carbon toilet. There's the animal part, and then there's the bread, the chalas part. Which is interesting. It's the only carbon, as far as I know, that has. I don't know if it's the only carbon, but you have shvuas. But you need both. So the question is the animal and the loaves of bread ma'akev on each other, right? So it's talking about. Well, that's not the question. It is right. So if it wasn't, if the carbon wasn't shechted on it, right? Meaning when he takes his bread and he bakes it and he brings it as a carbon. So right now, what kind of kedusha does it have? Is it kaddish like a carbon? It's not kaddish like a carbon, right? Once you shech the animal, then the kedusha goes onto the loaves of bread, right? Again, when you makdish, you go to the Angel's Bakery, you get yourself 30 loaves of bread and 10 matzahs. Right now they're like kachim of kedusha bedek habayis. When are they going to get to kedusha, the real kedusha? Only once you shech the animal, right? So. And then also, and when does the animal get the kedusha? When you sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, right? So before the carbon was shechted, right? You can't eat the bread. And then, well, problem is that you're up against chatzos or 5th hour on erev Pesach. So now what do you do? So that's why we're calling them. They're really kosher. There was nothing passul about them, but they're going to be passul because the animal wasn't shechted. So when it says v'nishchait. Why don't you shech the animal, right? So what am I answer? No, you lost that. You lost it. You can't find the animal. So if a nice zevach achav v'nishchait, so bring another carbon and shecht it. Damar zu taida zu lachma. No. So my answer is no. That's because he said this specific one is the bread, and he says this is the animal, and this is the carbon taida. Because the rabbah and like rabbah, damar rabbah, abad lechem. Let's say you lost the bread, maybe lechem acher. You can bring other bread. Of the taida, ain't to be in taida acheres. But if you lost the animal, then you can't bring taida. Got to get these kids to stop running in circles around me here. Yeah. So my timer. What's the reason? Lechem glal taida. Like lechem is because of the carbon taida. Ain't taida glal lechem. Meaning, which is the ikar? Is the bread the ikar, and then you bring an animal to accompany the bread, or is the animal ikar? And you're accompanying the bread, so therefore accompanying the animal. So therefore, Therefore, you can just replace the bread. You can't just replace the animal. So then, okay, so why don't you just be paid it, right? We know that anything that you make hektish, you just be paid it if you want to use it. Let's say you make your car hektish. So you just take the kedusha from the car, put it onto money, and now the car goes out of hektish and the money goes. So do that with the bread, with the chalas, right? You had these chalas. Make them be paid to them. So Gemara says, "Elalaylam." So now we change pshat. Elalaylam shenishchar alein azevah. Really, the carbon was shechted, right? V'nishpach hadam, but the blood that was supposed to be sprinkled on the mizbeach spilled, right? Ukaman, and who's that? Like a Rebbi. That's like Rebbi. Dama Rebbi. Shnei devar mamatir and mailan zebeloy. There's two things that you need to do to make a carbon considered done. When are you done with your chiv of carbon? So you got to shecht it. And you got to sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach. So two things, Mailan Zebeloy said, the Tanya, Kivsei Atzeres, the Kvasim on Atzeres, now we're talking about the Shvuas, right? The Kvasim that you bring with the Shtei HaLechem and Shvuas, that's the other situation where you bring both bread and animals. Ein Mekadshin es HaLechem Ela B'Shchita. You're not, the Lechem only becomes Kaddish once you shecht it. Ketzad, how do you do that? Shachtan Lishman, V'Zorok Dama Lishman, if you shechted the animal for Shvuas Lishma, and you threw the blood Lishma, Kiddush Alechem, then the bread becomes Kaddish. Shachtan Shaloi Lishman, V'Zarok Daman Shaloi Lishman. But if you do the Shchita without the right kavana and you throw the blood without the right kavana, like Kiddush Alechem, then the lechem doesn't become Kaddish. Shachtan Lishman, V'Zarok Daman Shaloi Lishman. Let's say you shechted it Lishma, but you didn't throw the blood on Lishma. Then lechem kadosh, ve'enei kadosh. Then the bread is kadosh and not kadosh, meaning it's somewhere in the middle. Divrei Rebbi, that's a Rebbi holds. Rebbi Shimon kadosh alechem achi yishchet l'shman v'yizak dam Rebbi Elazar. Reb Shimon holds no, it's not kadosh at all. Right. So what are we saying that this? What does it mean? Passul. What does it mean that they take lachmei taida that are passul? It's talking about. It's going according to Rebbi, and it's talking about where they shechted the animal, but they didn't properly throw the blood, and they didn't have the right kavana with the blood, so therefore it's somewhere no man's land, so therefore it's passul.
How are you comparing? Kivsei Atzeres is Sibba's carbon. The toid is Joe Blow's carbon. How do you maybe then you can't compare them?
Should that be enough kamina?
To me, it's enough kamina. To me, it's also enough. I mean, how they always found the coin who's done carbon C, but does something wrong. But that's a separate thing. I don't want to insult any kahanim on the daf to now.
Yeah, don't warp. Let's not warp anybody with our thing.
Okay,
how do you find a guy?
Fine.
I mean, this is your carbon, right? This is your kohen. He's the gadol adar, whatever,
Right.
and he's messing up the
Old
karbanos.
Carly throws waiting for this, and they can eat blintzes, and he
Correct. That's maybe what. Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
What's
so we're saying
happening with
that's
the other
going to-
28 loaves?
What?
What's happening with the other 28 loaves? You're talking about
No. That's we're talking about shvuas now. It's only two. We're comparing shvuas to lachmei toida. That's shvuas. Now we're talking about shvuas where there's only two loaves, right? But it's the same situation because they're both karbanos that are combining. One part of the carbon is the loaves, and one is the carbon. So then the Gemara says,
Rami, there was probably thousands of pieces of challah floating around. I mean, there was hundreds of thousands of people in Yerushalayim then. Could be 1,000 guys bought carbon toidas or 10,000. They didn't finish eating all of it. They just pulled out 2 to put up there on the roof. That's all.
right.
Does Rabbi Yanai argue with the Brisa?
What are you saying?
Does Rabbi Yanai argue with the Brisa?
Why?
The Brisa says you can't bring. He's talking about the book, so they didn't bring the check to animal yet.
I don't know. What time is it? It's 4:06. Okay, we got to get going. Let's okay. Okay. So then Gemara says, "Afilu temer Rebbi Elazar Rav Shimon." It can even be Rebbi Shimon. Hacha b'maya skin gun should niskabel adam b'kois. And we're talking about where the blood didn't spill from the animal on the floor. They already got it into the cup, v'nishpach, and then it spilled. Rebbi Elazar Rav Shimon savarei kavu, and he held like his father. Anything that's amid lizroik because it was already into the cup, and then it spilled, right? Then it's considered like it was a zrika, and therefore the carbon is going to be okay. Fine. Tanam, that's now there's a third shot in what was going on with these loaves of bread. Tanam Mishum Rebbi Elazar, Amru B'Ksheris Hayu, they were kosher. Calls Machum Anachas Kalam Eichlin. When they were there, everybody ate it. Nitlach as man toilen layach v'loy sarfen. Nitlu shtei and his chilu mekulam sarfen. Right. When they took away one, everybody knew it was no man's land. Took away two, everybody started burning. Tanya Abashol Omer. So he held it was totally kosher. Right. Yeah, that was this shita. Yeah. So fine. So Tanya Abashol Omer. Now on to the next Amud. Shtei paras. He has a different simon. Shtei paras hayu charshas bahara mishla. This one actually is interesting, meaning that it makes more sense. He had two cows plowing on harazesim. Hara mishla means harazesim, right? Everybody could see harazesim from the Beis Hamikdash. Calls matcha shtei and charshas. When you see two cows going back and forth, kalam eichlin, everybody was eating it. He tell us achas meyan, and one of them, if they took away one shore, now there's only one cow going back and forth, not a cow, a bull or ox. So that was a different way that they had a simon. Just everybody could look up and see these oxen going back and forth, right? Tosfos says that it's also b'malacha. Isn't it also b'malacha on erev pesach? There's a raya that maybe in Yerushalayim they did malacha on erev pesach. And Tosfos says lav dafka. They looked like they were plowing. They weren't really plowing. They were pulling everybody's leg. It just looked like they were plowing, but they really weren't plowing. Okay, fine. Ashkayach everybody for tuning in. And at 8 o'clock was
Good Shabbos, everybody.
Have a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. What time?